Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here at the Cannes Film Festival, and it's time to review Decision to Leave. This is directed by Park Chan-wook, one of the most exciting filmmakers working right now. This is his first movie since The Handmaiden, which was pretty great, and I think Old Boy is an all-timer. This was probably my most anticipated movie of the whole festival. And I think in a lot of ways this movie is delivering, though something I think is keeping me from being in love with it. I watched this movie twice. My first impression of it was that I'm gonna need to watch this movie again because it is so densely packed with symbols and other information. There are so many little details in every minute of this movie. I was taking a lot of notes. I was paying close attention, trying to process it all. And this is not to say that it's the mystery itself that is extremely complicated or hard to understand. The movie is more about the psychological play between the two main characters, and a lot of the symbols and details are used to paint a picture of that mysterious dynamic between them. This movie is beautifully stylized, from the visual compositions to the energetic transitions, editing choices, and camera zooms. There's some wacky shit in here. The editing is pretty amazing in this movie. It's a 2-hour, 18-minute movie that honestly flew by both times I watched it. The movie has a beautiful score, and some of the environments, like the sea and the mountains, are wonderful to behold. I was thoroughly engrossed in this story, fascinated by where it was going to go next, and interested to get to know the tension between these two characters. Now, this movie may not be as fun as some of the director's other movies, but I don't think that's a reason to knock it. It does operate as a thriller in a way, but I was more intrigued by it than thrilled. And I would say that my reservation with this movie, as much as I do like it, is that it's so jam-packed that I find myself trying really hard to deconstruct certain symbols and not really being sure if all of them heighten my understanding of the movie. I question if the symbolism maybe overcomplicates the relationship between the two leads. Because I think by the end, the dynamic between them is mostly clear in just the very strange way that these characters love. But there's just so much with the sea and the mountains, and the woman represents the sea, but she also has a mountain assigned to her by her family, and her wallpaper looks like a mountains and seas at the same time. And then the guy represents mountains, and every time he runs up a building, it's like he's running up a mountain. So does that help us understand what the mountains symbolize, and do those two juxtapose each other? And are these two bound by the mist? And what's the deal with crows? Is there a point to the eye drops? What's the deal with the throwing the phone in the river? There's just so much to me here. Some people might be able to shrug off a lot of these details, but I'm kind of going crazy over them because I felt like Park Chan-wook wanted me to pay close attention to all these things. So I don't think that I'm even overcomplicating the movie. I think I'm trying to understand it on its terms. And maybe other people will be able to wrap it all together a little better than me or a little smoother. But for me, as I said, it's I wonder if it overcomplicates the movie for me to have to try to think about all these things. But this isn't to say that the symbolism is the only way in which we can understand these characters, because our two lead performances are really great. Tong Wei, absolutely magnetic, and Park Hae-il really carries this character's perpetual dissatisfaction with him. And their chemistry is excellent. The way that they watch and study each other speaks a lot to their relationship. And their innermost desires are almost kinky in a way that I think feels appropriate when you compare this movie to some of Park Chan-wook's other films. At the end of the day, these characters are so strange, I'm not sure how much I resonate with them, and I don't know if the symbolism helps me to resonate more with it. But it is kind of fascinating. If there's any point in the movie where I really felt it, it's the ending. I'm kind of in awe at how intricately constructed every moment seems to be. I'll say it again, really well-directed movie. Cinematography, editing, score are outstanding. It's definitely one of the better movies I've watched at the festival. I'm going with high 8 territory on this. Many of you are probably wondering, is Park Chan-wook getting his Bong Joon-ho moment? And are the Oscars gonna nominate him everywhere? I don't think that that's going to happen with this movie, especially because Mubi has distribution rights. And I just think the movie's a little challenging for the Oscars. Also, they don't really like mysteries or thrillers very much. I definitely think that if it's submitted, it could get an international feature nomination, maybe even sneak into screenplay or director as a long shot. I would like to see it considered for editing and score and cinematography too. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Will you make the decision to leave a comment on this video?